5 female don't even know where to start because I'm devastated. She, 25 female, and I were best friends for over 10 years before all this happened. She was my sister, my friend, the person I trusted the most. But to her, I was never anything. Because if I had meant something to her, she wouldn't have stabbed me in the back just because I married a man she wanted. And this is important because she did all this for that very reason. 8 years ago, we met my husband, 29 male, at college. We were in our first year, and he was the assistant of one of our professors. The three of us became very good friends until he and I started dating. At that time, she never told me that she had feelings for him, so I never questioned my relationship with him. During all these years, I trusted her with very important things about my husband and myself. The last thing was the most important thing that I ever told her, and that was that I'm pregnant. I even told her before I told my husband, because I took the pregnancy test while I was with her because I trusted her with my whole life. And when the test came back positive, we both cried because it was a planned baby. She seemed so happy that my chest hurts knowing that all of that was fake. 6 months have passed since that day and my husband started acting weird. He was always mad at me for absolutely no reason, until I had enough and confronted him. He told me he's mad at me because he knows the truth. I asked him what he was talking about, and he showed me all the infidelity evidence he has. They were chats from a dating app between a man and me, and I use quotes because I never created that account. Someone else did and used my photos that I never posted and that I only have on my phone. So it is impossible that someone has stolen them from my social media. In those chats, I told this man that I was pregnant and that I didn't know if it was his or my husband's. In those chats, I even talked to that man about recent intimate encounters while I was pregnant, and things like that no husband or wife wants to read about their partner. I told my husband that everything was fake, and that I wanted to know where he got those screenshots. And he told me that they are screenshots of my old phone, a phone that I supposedly used to talk to other men. He told me that my best friend told him everything because she couldn't look him in the eye knowing the truth. Apparently, she knew about my infidelities and told him to look for evidence on my old phone, and he did. And that's why he was acting weird the last few weeks. Of course, I told him that my friend is lying, and that she probably used my phone without me knowing to do that I never created any account, and that I never slept with another man other than him in my whole life. But he didn't believe me. We had a fight, and we called her to confront her, but all she said was that she was sorry, but that she no longer wanted to keep lying to one friend to save the other's butt. We had a horrible fight, but she was calm as a freaking psycho, insisting that I'm a cheater. And I couldn't convince my husband that it's all a lie because the evidence indicates that I'm guilty. So he was furious and told me to pack my stuff and get out, and that he wanted a divorce and a paternity test. I went to my mother's house and we did a paternity test, which obviously indicates that the baby's his. But still, he didn't believe me that I didn't cheat on him. We had a few more fights after we did a paternity test, and I ended up in the hospital because of the stress. And apparently that made my so-called friend see reason, because she told my husband that everything he saw was fake, and that it was she who made both accounts, mine and that of the man I was supposedly cheating on him with. She said that she did it because she was jealous because since I'm pregnant, he doesn't pay attention to her anymore. She is very good friends with both of us since we met him, and that she lost her mind and acted in the worst way possible. She also said that now she's really sorry, that she never thought all this would go this far, and that she thought he'd just get mad for a few days and then forgive me because she knew that he loves me too much to forgive me anything. Since she confessed all that, he apologized in 1,000 ways, and we've talked a lot about what happened. And we have decided to give ourselves the space we need, and we will start going to therapy, but I don't know if that will be enough. Our relationship is at its worst. It's screwed up, and I'm afraid we can't work this out. And how could we? We said and did horrible things. During a fight, he told me to pack my stuff. I refused, and he took me by the arm to do it. And he was hurting me, so I pushed him and he hit a piece of furniture. And that's when he took me by the arms again. But this time he did it to shake me. But he is much stronger than me. Not only am I skinny compared to him, but he is also really tall. And when he did that, he really hurt me. And I don't know if we can be who we were in the past again. In the past, we almost never fought, and if we did, there was never any violence involved. How can we fix this, other than therapy? Now for the top advice. What a freaking psycho. This is a lot. The damage she inflicted over petty jealousy. How do you do something so deplorable to a person, let alone your best friends? People you claim to love, all while putting your friend's health and the health of her unborn child at risk. Just wow. This subthread never really shocks me, but this shocked me to the core. The evidence was so compelling from the husband's perspective, which makes it so sad. OP, if you're reading this, I hope both you and your husband give therapy a real shot. Don't let that witch win by jumping to divorce. It's so sad because it sounds like you had a healthy marriage before. I just hope that this is another hurdle you overcome and one that brings you closer in the end. And what about your husband and the ex-friend? Has he cut her out? And did she attempt anything with him while you were kicked out? Because if he's still talking to her in any capacity, that would be done for me. Yes, he blocked her from everywhere, and as far as I know, she never tried anything with him. Jesus, your friend is a psychopath. She didn't think it would go that far. The truth is, she wasn't ever that good a friend to either of you. Because if she was, she would have accepted that he is with you and moved on. Given the circumstances, I would think therapy is a must. I can't see how else you two would ever come back from this without a neutral party involved. I have a son, Adam, 14, from my previous marriage. I'm currently with my husband of 4 years. I handle everything related to Adam's school. He has a friend, Dean, 14, that he started hanging out with a year ago. Dean is an amazing boy and has been nothing but a great influence for Adam. I met Dean's dad, Mike, who's a single dad, and we'd see each other daily for school pickup/drop-offs. My husband kept asking about Mike and pointed out that he's being boundary stumping, but I disagree. Unfortunately, Adam fell sick months ago and had to undergo a surgery recently. It's been hard, but Dean kept visiting. Sometimes Mike would come too, and my husband would either ignore Mike or make passive comments towards him. Mike picked up on that, and I told my husband to knock it off because his hostility affected Adam and Dean as well. Days ago, I found Adam crying in his room. This was weeks after getting discharged. I asked and he said that Dean sent him a text telling him they were no longer friends and blocked his number. I was confused as they were fine. I wanted to go talk to Dean, but the next day I found his phone in my husband's car. I confronted him and he said he borrowed it from Dean, but I didn't buy it. After pushing, he confessed that he stole Dean's phone at a hospital and sent Adam a text telling him not to contact him again. I asked why, and he said it was all Mike's fault for being too close to me and acting inappropriately, and said that he didn't want to directly tell Adam to no longer speak to Dean, and chose this strategy to not make Adam hate him while keeping Dean and by extension Mike away. This hit a nerve so hard I started screaming at him. He said he already expressed how uncomfortable he felt with Mike being around, and I kept brushing it off. I said it was because of how ridiculous his argument was. Mike has been nothing but respectable and helpful. I yelled calling him insecure and unreasonable and also cruel for causing Adam heartache with a stunt. He begged I don't tell Adam, but I took the phone and returned it to Dean and explained to him and Adam what happened. Adam is no longer speaking to my husband, and he is blaming me for telling instead of keeping it between the adults like I'm supposed to. Now for the top comments. Holy moly! Not the a-hole. So let me get this straight. Your husband, the one that stole a phone from a kid and then used said stolen phone to mentally mistreat your son because hubby is insecure, is now blaming you for salvaging your son's friendship and giving back the stolen property? What? Correct. That's pretty much what happened. He's now blaming and guilting me for having his relationship with Adam ruined. Your husband is the only a-hole in this situation. Hurting Adam like that was unforgivable. He let his insecurities get the better of him. I really don't see how you come back from this even if he agreed to individual and couples therapy. Not the a-hole. How dare he? He is blaming me for telling instead of keeping it between the adults like I'm supposed to. Which adults is he talking about? Because stealing Dean's phone to text Adam to not contact him again just to keep Mike away from you does not sound like adult behavior. He needs to apologize to Adam and get counseling for his insecurity. You're not the a-hole. Also, fairly certain that several crimes were committed here as a direct result of the husband being so petty and jealous. It's actually concerning that befriending another parent triggered this kind of response in him. It reeks of distrust and controlling behavior. I think the damage will always be done between Adam and the husband. I hope you should also consider if this is enough damage for her too. Not stay home. I don't care what Mike was doing. I don't care what you were doing. He said he wanted it to stay between the adults. And yes, it should have. But you didn't bring the kids into it. He did. Because he stole a child's phone to manipulate your child. He stole from a child so that he could manipulate and lie to your child. He tried to ruin their friendship instead of nutting the heck up and being a man. And tried to find a compromise. Trying to actually communicate instead of passive-aggressively being a prick to Mike and you. Literally anything that didn't involve trying to destroy a friendship between two children, one of whom was recovering from a freaking surgery. I'm not usually on the whole girl dump him train on AITA, but this doesn't even need couples therapy. This is a deal breaker. My 26 female soon-to-be ex-husband, 30 male, attempted to end himself. Original post. We've been married for 3 years, together for 6 years. Thankfully no kids yet. 2 weeks ago, I found out that my husband was having an affair with his co-worker for 2 or 3 months. I packed my bags and within 2 days I had moved out of his house completely. I haven't filed for divorce yet. The thing is, he never said a word to me. When I confronted him, he just sat there quietly like a statue. It was super frustrating because he wasn't giving me an explanation. Not even a simple, I did it because. I called him a loser and left the next day. I didn't reach out, he didn't either. I thought maybe he has already invited a co-worker to live with him now that the wife is finally out of the picture. His sister and I have always been super close and she called me recently. We chatted. And I asked about him and a co-worker, but she told me that he has been following his normal routine as far as she knows. She doesn't visit him that often, so she didn't know much about how he's been doing. Well, I was angry and super upset. I thought that maybe he's still seeing the coworker, but I had no one to confirm it. 2 days ago, he emailed me. It was long and confusing. I didn't gather much because it seemed his thoughts were all over the place. And there were just so many grammar and spelling mistakes that I had to read some of the lines multiple times to understand them. My hunch is that he was drunk because he's very proficient in English, both speaking and writing. I only gather a few things from the email. That he was sorry and he didn't want to ruin our marriage like this. And that his affair had nothing to do with me and I was too good for him and whatnot. It all just seemed pathetic and I felt so disgusted by him. I wasn't planning on replying, but I ended up writing a short email back. I told him when I'll be filing the petition for divorce, and that he should shove his excuses up his butt. In my defense, I was pissed and emotional. He didn't reply to that. I thought that was the end of it and went to sleep. Then, his sister calls me sometime after 3 a.m. and gives me the news. This woman tells me that he tried to end himself by ingesting my mother-in-law's sleeping pills. I didn't believe it at first, but she's sobbing and screaming on the other side of the phone, so it was obviously real. To be honest, even now it feels like I'm in a dream. It just doesn't feel real. My mother-in-law was the one who found him, and he's in the hospital right now. I've been sitting in the same place for hours now. His sister didn't ask me to come. I didn't ask if I should visit. She gave me the news and hung up. I called her again in the morning. She told me she'd call me back, but she hasn't yet. I didn't want to bother her, so I didn't call again. I'm confused now. Should I go and visit him? Should I just stay where I am? I unofficially left him at his house 2 weeks ago. We haven't talked except for the emails. He did mention in the email that he had been feeling depressed, but I thought it was another one of his pathetic excuses for cheating. At times, I remember what he put me through and I feel angry and hurt again. But I obviously never wanted him to do such a thing. I'm not going to get back together with him either way. Our marriage is over for me, but I'm stuck. On one hand, I feel obligated to visit and take care of him, but on the other hand, I feel like I have lost the right to do that. Because I left him, I don't plan on going back. I don't have any friends to ask advice from, so here I am. Reddit, what do I do? Now for the top advice before reading the update. He did it to get you back. It's a classic manipulation technique. The attempt was genuine. He's literally in the ICU. Plus, he's never been the manipulative or abusive kind. So doing that as a manipulation tactic seems out of his character. Follow through. You left him because he cheated on you. Stay the course. While the attempt is unfortunate, that's a complication, not a reason to change your mind. He earned consequences for his cheating and must deal. Don't feel any obligation to him now to take care of him or anything else. He has family, and for that matter, let the affair partner pitch in. It's just hard sitting here and not doing anything. We've been together for so long, and I feel like it's human decency to visit him or his family at least once. No, your presence is highly likely only going to complicate things. If you feel you need to stay informed because you care, talk to the sister. If he's so unwell that he attempted to end himself, then he's probably better off focusing on his recovery rather than seeing you right now. You would be a reminder of everything he did wrong that led to his actions. If, however, his actions were a manipulation tactic to get you to forget what he did by making you feel sorry for him, then going to see him would only reinforce that his behavior works, and you're risking falling into a cycle of threats until you feel trapped. Tread carefully. Yes, I worked with self-harm attempts patients in the ICU, and when they were related to relationship loss, then the ex would show up, get their hopes up, and then have to crush them all over again. You are in no way responsible for this attempt he took, nor any future actions. If you have no desire to work on the relationship, then continue as you have, with minimal contact. Be advised you will probably fall out with his family as their main concern here is making him feel better as quickly as possible, and they will see you as a key component. Ultimately and objectively, the best thing is to stay consistent with your behavior. Sorry you have had to endure so much in a short time. He made mistakes but was still your husband, so I'm sure you really have been hurting.